The debate behind changing New Zealand's name. New Zealand's Maori Party has launched a petition to change the official name of the country to Aotearoa. A look at the history of the country to understand the demand. New Zealand's Maori Party Tuesday launched a petition to officially change the country's name to Aotearoa, which means land of the long white cloud, in the indigenous Te Reo Maori language. While launching the campaigning, the party also urged the Jacinda Ardern-led New Zealand government to restore the Maori names for all towns, cities and place names. It is well past time that Te Reo Maori was restored to its rightful place as the first and official language of this country. We are a Polynesian country, we are Aotearoa, the party which campaigns for indigenous rights, said in its campaigning. Tangta Wena are sick to death of our ancestral names being mangled, bastardized and ignored. It's 21st century, this must change, it added. The party said fluency in the native language fell from 90% in 1910 to 26% in 1950. In only 40 years, the Crown managed to successfully strip us of our language, and we are still feeling the impacts of this today. The party said, adding that only 3% of the people living in the country currently speak the language. While Prime Minister Ardern is yet to remark publicly on the latest petition she had in 2020, said it was a positive thing that the word Aotearoa is interchangeably used within the country. However, an official name change was not something that we have explored, Ardern had said. New Zealand versus Aotearoa. The tribal population in New Zealand believe the name Aotearoa was first given by Kupe, an East Polynesian explorer who figures in Maori tales somewhere around 1200 to 1300 AD. As per legends, when Kupe, his wife Kura Mortini and crew were sailing to find out what lay beyond the horizon, they spotted a large landmass shrouded in white cloud in the distance. It was then Kura Martoni shouted, "He ho, he ho, he hoite, he hoit, Aotearoa," a cloud, a white cloud, a long white cloud. In other versions of the tale, it is said it was Kupe's daughter who spotted the land, while some claim that the land was named after the canopy Kupe was riding on. The history behind the country's present names goes back to the 1640s when Abel Tasman, a Dutch explorer with the Dutch East India Company, sighted the South Island. The country then subsequently appears on Dutch map as New Land, named the Dutch province of Zeeland. A century later, English navigator Captain James Cook set foot on the island and went on to draw detailed and accurate maps of the country for the first time. In Cook's map, he mentions the country as New Zealand. The conflict. While the term Aotearoa is often interchangeably used in New Zealand and also on some official documents, including the country's passport, many in the country believe that Aotearoa was originally used to refer only to the North Island rather than the whole country. Some believe the name emerged only a few hundred years ago, as Maori never had a name for these lands. Maori didn't have a name for these lands and only came to accept Aotearoa in relatively recent times. Former Labour MP Mismael Bassett was quoted as saying in a local media website. Criticizing the name change petition, New Zealand's former Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters said that the changing the country's name and town and city names is just dumb extremism. "We are not changing to some name with no historical credibility," Peters said in a tweet. Earlier in July, a call for public referendum on the name change was raised by National Party member Stuart Smith. He demanded that until the referendum is carried, the usage of the term Aotearoa should be banned from usage in public documents. Several other protests, including campaignings with signs saying "We live in New Zealand, not Aotearoa," have also taken place in New Zealand against the Maori Party's demand. However, Maori supporters argue that the name finds a source in Maori oral histories. Aotearoa does feature in documents as early as 1855 in Maori language newspaper like the Maori Messenger and Governor Grey's manuscripts, but historians have yet to find earlier official references. The critics of a name change seize on this evidence to back their opposition, turning progressive talking points on their head in arguing that it is inappropriate to take a white man's history to justify a Maori name change. Morgan Godfrey, a senior lecturer at the University of Otago, wrote in a column in The Guardian. Historian Dr. Raueri Taoni also argues that the name finds a source in Maori oral histories and blames critics for being ignorant towards older Maori traditions. Taoni, who is an expert in Maori oral history, cites 30 to 40 languages between 1846 and 1861. The origin of those oral histories handed down generations to generation are like much older, Godfrey said. Thank you.